Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show. I'm Nico, and you can check me out at Nico Action, NicoAction.
I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And that makes me Tori. You can find me at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I.
Hey, I'm Jonah. You can find me places at Peak Jonah.
And that makes me your producer, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment so that we know what you want us to cover in the future. But it's Sunday. It's brunch time. We are here for Drag Brunch.
Okay, and I, number one, just want to say that as somebody who has seen the Pussycat Dolls live in concert, and am a bit of a fanboy for Miss Nicole, and very excited to see her in Sunset Boulevard in the near future. I had way too much fun with this arrangement. So guys, thanks for entertaining Hush Hush in the background, which was a really fascinating lip sync to a really weird episode. I can't wait to get into it, guys. We're going to mostly be talking about Canada versus the world, the reading battle, an experiment in when you try to bring your past into the present and learn a quick couple of lessons. First off, I want to kick this off with a big question for everybody. What did you think? Just like a quick grade on this reformatting. I think between this and next week, this is a lesson in letting the franchise field it for the home team. I think this was, they tried to figure out how to do a one-on-one roast, and next week is trying to figure out how to do musicals of other events, and they're testing it on Canada. So this way, it's not a big flop on the show that just got its first ever nomination for Outstanding Choreo on a Variety Show at the Emmys for Power.
Whoa. For Power?
I believe that was what it was for. Yeah.
I'm sure the dancing was lovely.
I saw the dancing, and the dancing was ripped.
So
that's great.
Okay, I'm moving this along, Tori. We will have a long conversation since you've already opened your beautifully manicured mouth. I don't know. Do you manicure a mouth? What do you think?
Brush
about
it.
You brush your mouth?
No, I really, I thought we were going to get like someone, like you place a person there, you get to do your whole roast, and then they get to come back. But the fact that we really went for like the rap battle, reading battle part of it was good, if a little awkward. I think
it was good for Lemon.
Yeah, it was great for Lemon. Lemon was like ready for it. And I think Cheryl handled it well too. But I think having to pay attention and volley, which we have seen people struggle with on the Snatch game as well, is setting it up for a little more failure. But also, you know, the last time that we saw a roast kind of challenge, someone else wrote the jokes. So we don't know enough. So I give him a lot of benefit of the doubt.
Well, I also share in your doubt. TK, how do you feel?
I like when they do things differently. I also like when it seems like some interns are just sitting on social media all day and picking ideas that seem to be working. Again, like I'm always like, okay, what's my feed looking like versus what am I seeing on Drag Race? I get a lot of the stand-up comedy that I get is two things. Crowd work, which obviously I think would be terrible. I don't know. Actually, I'd take it back. Crowd work actually might be amazing if they got a good crowd for an American season, like a nice big crowd, and had them do crowd work comedy. It actually could be a really funny challenge. But so my feed is crowd work, and then comedians at like comedy shows doing battles, doing roasts. I see so much of that, and I think it makes sense for the show to do because we've done every version of a roast possible. You know, we've roasted everybody. It's been everybody's funeral. It's been the Kennedy Davenport Center honors. They're all funny. They're great formats, but it is just like, if you tweak it even slightly, it is actually something totally new. And for this, like this being the first time around, nobody did so phenomenally. I was blown away, but I could immediately see how if you got some girls in who knew that this was a potential challenge, being loose and relaxed and
Prep
laughing at
time.
each other and being able to volley more. That's something you see when pro comedians do this exact kind of challenge. So for me, it did feel like a test balloon, and it felt like an exciting one, and it also felt like we didn't do what is kind of a stale format, which is just to get up there and make everybody do a comedy routine.
I completely understand that idea of like it has to evolve with exciting results. I think some of the exciting results for me was some of the failure.
It's also not necessarily exciting. Like, they just stole a format that is
Yeah.
popular.
I just mean to
Like,
see them do
and
something.
I'm saying, do that. Go ahead. Like, so much of drag is thievery. So much of
Yeah.
drag is seeing pop culture moments and
In the
being
nicest
like,
way.
I'm
What
just
is
gonna
lip
do it.
syncing? You're literally using somebody else's vocal delivery and performance
Exactly.
and their emotion to make your art look better.
I would so
Right.
much rather steal a popular game show format that gives the girls an opportunity to play than do another Snatch Game.
I really love that. And I'd love to know, Jonah, Kevo, what do you guys think? Would you guys love this refocusing, this remixing, this super dub? Or do you guys think, nah, I would have rather just a straight up roast?
Something we've been talking about that we noticed with All Stars 9 is there is this new hybridization of challenges that we're seeing. You mentioned it toward the top of the show with what we're getting next week with this weird Rusical hybrid. And I think it's fun and interesting to see, especially after all of these years, having you and I specifically, and Tori, just binged literally the entire thing so quickly. We've digested a lot of these all at once. So we very much have this immediate sense of how many of these there have been that are the same. And so I think especially taking things that we already love and combining them has paid off really well and really interestingly. It did with All Stars 9. I don't know if this one necessarily landed as well as some others have. But, it's that there was an attempt made sort of thing. And it's trying to keep something that is part of the lifeblood of this style of performance fresh. And I appreciate it for that.
I love this. So I actually thought this was going to be tournament style, where the winner would then go on to the next winner. But there's not enough girls for that, which is fine. I think it's typically how, whether these roast battles, rap battles typically kind of do, is kind of like a tournament style, like knockout bracket. But
Even karaoke battles.
What I appreciated about this is that it's kind of just what everybody else is saying. It was a little more intimate between the audience and the actual jokes, as well as the girls. Having to only think of 4, 5, 6 jokes about one person is a little bit easier, I think, in my mind, than a really good one for one person. Or maybe I'm just wrong on that, now saying that out loud. But it's more, I think that's a little bit more entertaining, and I think requires a little more skill to be able to reinvent and come up with a couple different things for someone else. And I really like that kind of challenge. I like when they try to add these kind of twists to things. I think the show has been on for 16 years at this point. The show just had its Sweet 16, and at this point it's probably not going to stop until, I don't know, RuPaul's
minimum 20.
RuPaul's
until we're on New Paul.
Fully just going Futurama with RuPaul's head in a little thing, and RuPaul still judging and still has a wig on. I like Kevo said, I appreciate them trying to mix up and figure out, okay, how do we keep things as fresh as we can? One of the things, as much as I love Top Chef, there's only so many different ways that a Top Chef challenge can be, because it's not that you can't reinvent a dish or you can't do things differently.
But they're getting to like sous vide potato chips, and it's gone too far.
It starts to become like after a certain point, the challenges don't really become as exciting as much as the idea of what are the cadets going to come up with. Here, I think they found a good balance of what are the cadets going to come up with, but this is kind of an exciting challenge. I like that they're adding twists, or they're adding a little bit more of an element. I believe also, this is very fascinating for this episode, for a North American season, this is the first time they've ever given critiques in front of a live audience for like a main series show.
Wow,
That's great.
yeah.
Because I don't think most of the time when I do a challenge like this, they save critiques for the end, which is what I thought they were kind of gonna do. But no, they didn't. They just gave the critiques right in front of those audience members, which is fascinating.
And Jonah, what a great visual thing to pick up on, because it kind of even illustrates something I felt about the mini challenge this week. I want to get into the Fierce Delicious dynamics of it all, because I just can't believe that there was a storyline involving Eureka and Fierce Delicious where I was like, wow, I like both of these people. I don't know what just happened, but amazing. I thought that this was the most insane mini challenge for a couple of reasons. This felt like a season 3 mini challenge. This literally had that vibe. Like, one of the things that I loved about early Drag Race was the Muppet of it, where it literally felt like they would just throw like chickens at people, like a Muppet bit, and like they would dunk you in a water bit.
One of those Sue Sylvester bits where she'd be like, slap yourself with this raw chicken. You'd be like, that's so unbelievable to
New
be
Zealand.
Real. But yeah.
Because for those of you who don't realize, the Muppet that slaps people with the fish is New Zealand. And
he doesn't slap people with them. He throws the fish away and they come back
to him. Yes. And so Rue as that. But I love this challenge. I thought it was super stupid. I thought it was super stupid in all the right ways. But the thing that I thought it kind of lacked was production that had the same sense of humor as how stupid it was. Like, one of the things I love is that Rue is willing to debase herself beautifully. But this just sort of felt like almost out of time. I thought the challenge was perfect, but what would make me happier is if we saw a return of this sort of challenge to the main series.
Part of the problem is Brad, who isn't funny and is joyless.
That is
horrible.
Yeah. Brad was so wooden in this
so
segment.
He's
yes.
not able
A bad
to...
seat on this earth.
I should look
He's
up
not
what
able to
Brad
contribute
does,
at
because
all.
I was wondering if he was worth having around giving critiques to the comedy.
He was Rachel Zoe's back molar for a while because he was so far down her throat.
Yeah.
And since Rachel Zoe has been booped, he's just remained in the hole where she once was.
He was also one of the cast members on Real Friends of WeHo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Them
no.
Them hoes, yes.
I mean, and he's remained a style, whatever. But he's
He's
he
handsome.
has remained on for so long is wild to me.
Right. He doesn't look comedy is what I'm getting.
He doesn't look comedy, and he's not, he's not a Carson or a Ross or a Reese. Or even an Alan Carr or a Graham Norton. It's, I mean, like, when you look at the gay friend on the bench, one of these things is not like the other, and it is Brad Goreski. Like, everybody, all the other ones, you're like, that would be the funniest lineup to see them doing a roast. All of the guys that, judge American or English speaking drag races, all of them would be hilarious to see do comedy, except for Brad Goreski. And I think that's notable. And in fact, nobody on the Canada panel is funny. On the Canada standard judges panel is whatever. Don't point at me like that. Whatever you say.
I'm going to challenge you this week. Brooke had really good comedic timing.
Brooke had a couple jokes. Brooke had a couple jokes. I refuse to believe they weren't fed to her by PA. But
no, she called Alexis Mateo her almost mother-in-law, and I
cracked.
Fell out. I had to rewind to understand who won that.
Priyanka in the back writing jokes to Zing Lemon.
I
was able to deliver it.
I was being funny with that, but I do, Brooke earned that. That was 100% her. And I also, back to the original topic, I loved this challenge because this actually bordered on an actual challenge. My preference would be the mini challenges were less funny. I shouldn't say that. Less goofy.
I
was like, Kramer versus Kramer.
I don't like when it's like everybody do a country western dance in a circle.
Yeah.
I don't like any of those because it's not really, it's a little too silly. This was actually like, can you give can you improv a performance? Like, if it's at the most extreme, can you stay up there and make something happen when it is just chaos beyond normal, like to the point of satire?
It was silly, but it was an attempt to show skill through silliness, not just like hump a
And
pit crew member.
I
Right.
would love for that to happen so that the Lucy LaDucas of the franchise can
Yeah.
actually feel a little better about their mini challenge wins. I think they should be
I
a
feel
little bit
wonderful about them.
I don't-
Excuse me.
Well, girl, you should not, because none of them were things that you should be proud of winning. Like, they weren't that good. It's not your fault, but the show didn't give you great material to work with, so it wasn't that
I
impressive
won
when you
the
won.
cupcake smashing challenge, and that was vital to team building for that week.
I genuinely felt like, yeah, Fierce Delicious actually had to perform and kept it going all the way through. I thought Kennedy did as well. I thought a lot of people were good in this. I thought some people were not. But like, I legitimately was stoked about the fact that there was some actual challenge to this mini challenge, and I would love if that was a bigger priority.
I
I
like
mean-
when the mini challenges have to do with something that we're going to see in the Maxi challenge, preferably especially if we're going into team challenges. Like if we're going to do a hoedown, it's so that you can tell who has rhythm before you pick team members for a group girl number.
Or
And
it's to help
so
the captains.
yeah, so like that's what I like. I like the fact that we saw the improv. I like the fact that for a lot of queens, it's an understanding of sometimes you're in a venue and things don't go well and you got to keep going. Like, especially when we're at an all-stars kind or versus the world kind of level where these girls haven't been in terrible venues for at least 2 years by this point.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jonah?
Oh, I love that Poppy came home to Alexa. She caught that thing like a baby. And it was the funniest thing. Like, Cheryl yelling "fuck off" to every single thing coming at her way, not lip syncing. just being like,
absolutely
"Fuck off."
what?
No matter where she
That
ends
was-
up, this is Cheryl's season.
Oh,
Yeah.
everything about the challenge. When Nico, while we were watching it, and Nico was like, "This is like a very early season." Like, absolutely, this is like they have no budget, and they're like, "We have a bunch of party stuff from Party City where we belong," and we just kind of threw it at them and just lip sync to it. Like, there's not much to it, but there is a skill. Like Tori said, any performer, people who've been on stage know that like. The saying, the show must go on. No matter what is happening in the audience, you cannot get distracted. There could be a literal fist fight. People could be fucking. I don't know. You keep going. You pretend you don't see any of that.
Yep.
You know,
What was I just watching? We were watching Grey's Anatomy or something, I think. So it was even fake, but it was like people. Oh no, maybe I'm just thinking of that time that the opera kept going on Empty Nest while Carol was giving birth.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to say that one of the things that I loved about this challenge and the setup for it, the way it generated a lot of vibes for me, was because I think, you know, to your point about Tori, about like when they feed into each other, the challenges, I actually think there was kind of a fascinating way that these two challenges balance each other. They're both sort of about exploring the silliness of the girls in kind of a fun way, and something that I thought was super great from this challenge, the main challenge, not to jump ahead, but I mean, keep throwing blow up dolls. I feel like one of the things that really surprised me about the big challenge, the main challenge this week, was how some of the girls did not seem to understand exactly how to do it. I feel like, for instance, Eureka came in with a list of jokes because perhaps she was told to be ready to do some kind of roast at some point. And so she did jokes that were not for her partner, that made it feel like she didn't understand the assignment, only because when Lemon and Fierce Delicious went first, and Lemon didn't miss a beat. First of all, Lemon, way too talented for this. This was unfair. This was putting anyone up against Anna Kendrick in a battle of flipping cups at things. This was just dumb.
And yet, she did not win.
Well, and I actually don't agree that she did not win. I don't know what happened there, but
she was not given she did not win. I'm saying I agree. I think she clearly won, and it was a little awkward.
Because Alexis could have won as easily as Kennedy won, and Alexis did not beat Lemon.
Right.
So by the transitive properties of Batman can't beat Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, exactly. It's best example possible.
I really appreciate your point of feeling like there is at least some amount of spiritual connection between the mini challenge and the main challenge, because it even goes back to what Jonah was saying, where the mini challenge is you have to take whatever is being thrown at you. And that is sort of what this library battle was supposed to be. I wonder if it was supposed to be a little bit more, not exactly spontaneous, but every single one of them very much came across like there was a huge amount of cooperation and choreography between the performers. And I feel like that's a little bit less in the spirit of a regular like rap style battle. I feel like you need to be a little bit more prepared to roll with the punches. And there were a few times where the girls kind of stumbled because they weren't able to be as freeform and prepared and improv. And so I think that is an interesting connection between the two ends.
And I think that's kind of what I was getting at before is like, I like this idea for challenges and I would like to see this happen a bunch more on other franchises. But this was the first one. The first Snatch game isn't good. The season 2 Snatch game isn't good.
I got lost.
They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what the potential is. They've never seen a great Snatch game before that they can, again, copy as you should. And here, like, I think the only one of these people that I could ever picture getting on their Instagram Discover and seeing roast battle is Lemon. Everybody else, I just don't really imagine that's what the algorithm gives them. So, you know, I just think none of them knew what the potentials were, what the pitfalls were. They didn't know how loose to be. Like, I feel so bad for Fierce Alicious because immediately I was like, she's going to have good material, but she's not going to know how to act. And I felt so bad for her because if she had seen 2 or 3 of these being done before and was a little bit, and it was not a good time in the season for her. I know she's feeling a little defeated. But if those two, you know, she were feeling a little better and if she had some other examples to go on, I think she actually could have maybe even beat Lemon, but I think she could have done not, you know, arguably the worst. And I think it is just because most of these girls really have not seen a lot of this. And so now I really hope that like season 17 of US has this and those girls will all have seen this and, you know, maybe we'll look up roast battles and just see that like part of it really is actually just being relaxed and laughing as much at what gets said about you and letting that roll into the next joke as it is having like the sharpest material possible, but just delivering it in this your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn format.
Yeah, I was fascinated that when they went to Samantha B and Brad to learn things that they went separately, because to me it is a lot about the back and forth and the going and something. And so I understand why they didn't want to tell each other what they were going to say, because I don't think that's the right line. But I do think that there should have been like a let's work on your chemistry together so that you have the best shot of making this good for the audience.
See, and I get that, but they don't want that because they want people to struggle. And I think we saw that with Fierce, where I think Fierce's confidence started to falter and shake a little bit was when Lemon had good responses to what she was saying to her.
Like right on the spot, yeah.
And part of me why I think maybe for me Lemon won the challenge, which is also at the end of the day, we're not the judges. They decided Kennedy won. Good for Kennedy. Props to you, mama. But what I think was so, I guess, magical about Lemon's performance was Lemon remained confident, and there is a lot of confidence to be able to try to one-up somebody's joke. And Fierce had good material. Fierce was funny. But to be able to kind of turn that around on her, I think really kind of cinched, like, that was the nail in the coffin, if you will. Something that the show doesn't always think about is their TV show first. So they're trying to make the best TV first as opposed to best live performance first. I think about way back when on season 5 when, and obviously it was a long time ago, different show, really, but when the judges kind of read Alaska a little bit being like, why weren't you strategic with the lineup? And she was like, I wanted a good roast show. I thought I'd pick the best performance. Like, she wasn't thinking strategy. She wasn't thinking of people failing or faltering or trying to sabotage anybody. It was, I want to make a good show. It was the first roast on the show.
And that shows a different kind of talent too. That's thinking about making a good show, not being cutthroat and making a bad show just to protect yourself.
But it's not always what the show wants. The show wants good TV. And so I agree that maybe they did have a little bit of time to practice just a little bit back and forth, maybe some stuff that did get cut, but just kind of, going back and forth. Because it did feel like some people's timing, like Fierce and I think Lemon had the best timing between the two, where it's like one say a joke, if they had a comeback, they said a comeback, where the other one went. Sometimes I felt like the other two performances felt a little like the timing was a little mismatched over like, all right, is it my turn to speak yet? The rules were a little unclear, and that's okay. It was still, I think this is another case of an episode where nobody really did bad, people just happened to do better.
Well, and it's in that regard that I think we're sort of exploring and getting around some of the ideas that I'm so sorry, getting around some of the ideas that I think got lost for some people. It's something that Lemon said that I continue to agree with. Lemon said you would never read someone you don't care about, because if you don't care about them, you're not talking to them. Well, that's a lie, because I don't think all of these girls like each other, and they're told they have to read each other. So some of these girls are legitimately at times being mean to one another. Look at Plain and Amanda. And like, that just is what it is sometimes. You're not reading out of a good place. You're reading because you're told you have to read this person and they're driving you nuts and you don't want to be on this show with them anymore. And like, I think that Brad and Samantha gave a young person like Fierce bad advice, is what it comes down to. They told Fierce to be as bitchy as you want. That's not a read. That's not a roast. That is not how you do this. And so she was given pretty bad advice, whereas Lemon said it comes from a place of love only. And that's why Lemon zinged herself as much as she zinged anyone else. And that's the art that I think they got some bad advice here. Whereas Alexis and Kennedy said, nah, we old Judies, we know how to do this shit.
Nico, I just want to applaud you. It's been 27 minutes and we've referenced Samantha Bee twice and you have not yet mentioned wanting to fuck her husband. So I just... bravo.
Oh, wow. They're still married. Good for them.
Jason Jones?
Who?
Hold on. Kevo, coming your way. Give me one
second. You know who Jason Jones is.
You absolutely know Jason Jones.
He was the guy before the current white guy who used to go to places and be an idiot.
When I send you this, when I put this picture on screen.
You know who this guy is. He's tall.
Not exceptionally on Nico's radar.
Yeah, but he's got that Bruce Wayne face that I like so much. It's there.
He's got those blue peepers that are real nice too.
Okay.
And he's like 59.
Yeah. He's
hey, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Bosch?
No,
that's not Bosch.
No, Bosch is the man in black from Lost. No.
Got it. Thank you.
I know why you think that, though. He looks like he could be related to Bosch or Cooper from Private Practice. He's that type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or Adam Pally's dad.
Yeah.
He's the comedy version of them.
Samantha, we would love to have you and your husband on the show. We're doing brunch. We know you're watching because we know that you something Samantha Bee is very well known for is her involvement in helping up and coming artists. So if that's her big thing, because she heavily employed undervalued minorities on what was her show on
Samantha Bee Project?
Was that the nightly daily news?
I think so.
She employed a lot of people. She's actually, a very strong proponent for people, and so it made sense that she was on Drag Race, although kind of maybe not, but kind of yes. Good for her.
It's her second Drag Race because she did America, right?
Oh wow!
Yes.
I think I forgot that. Thank you for reminding me. She's a veteran.
I do believe she did America, and then Canada. Obviously, she is Canadian. So
Samantha Bee Does America would be the best name of.
Completely agree. I would watch that show.
I would watch that nightly news show every single night.
Yes.
Full frontal with Samantha Bee.
That's the one. Thank you, Buzz Tori.
Yes.
This is her first.
This is her first. Yes.
Oh, I'm thinking of what's her name. God damn it.
Oh, Psylocke?
No. What?
Olivia Munn was never on this.
No, but she would be great.
That's
no, she's blonde. Oh God, she plays Angela's sister in like one of the last episodes of The Office.
I love where this episode has gone. So I'm gonna while we do this deep dig.
Yeah.
I want to have Tori come in.
So Nico,
Rachel Harris.
you're such
Rachel Harris. Yes, we love her.
Yes.
Nico, you're such a big fan of Kennedy Davenport, and you mentioned that you didn't think she won. Talk to me more about that, because I was fascinated that the judges honestly thought that she was able to throw her wig off on her own volition.
There was no way that was intentional.
No, there wasn't. And the moment she answered, I was it wasn't intentional.
I
believe
think it was
magic.
absolutely intentional. I think she just didn't want it sticking to her back.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe
that
in
one.
Okay, here's what I think. I think that Kennedy Davenport is a personality and a performer, but she's not an actress. And I think she gave the Kennedy Davenport, which is literally one of my top 10 queens in the entire series. Truly, I am such a big fan of this performer. I think she is having an absolute all-stars winners type season this season. And I think what she did was she and Alexis stood up there and just did this sort of bad bit that I didn't love when I got it from Sasha in 15 and with Anitra, where they did the bad comedy bit.
Bad.
That's all this felt like. This just felt like a bad comedy bit. And it felt like the volleys were so planned that there was no rhythm. There was no musicality to it. It was very good. In fact, it could go on any stage, anywhere in the world, and people would pay money to see it. But what I thought Lemon had this sort of unique opportunity to express a voice that was developed around this kind of humor, this kind of perspective. And so you wind up in that position where, and I'm just kind of putting out names, and I don't really mean any of this exactly like this, but you wind up in a position where, are you putting Patti LuPone in the role because it was time for Patti to play that role, and that's just what it is? Or are you making the bold choice and saying Nicole Scherzinger has lived her entire life training to be a grande dame of a new kind? And it just felt like they rewarded just passing instead of evolutionary ideas. And that's where I was kind of bummed out.
I think what it comes down to, it was a very funny performance, and I think it was very entertaining, enjoyable, but sometimes it feels like the judges, like, we're given this idea of like what I think us as an audience and viewers expect the criteria to be of like, all right, who is the best at the roast? But it might have been in their eyes, Kennedy just happened to be the funniest person overall. That's why she got the win, and that's fine. It just comes across like, okay, is there a rubric, or is there Rue's rubric, or is this just we just pick who we want? Which is fine. Either way, it's fine. I will say it this way: the wins on this season do not really matter that much. The prizes aren't that big. It's really wonderful that Kennedy got her second win, and right now is the current front runner. But I think when the cast was announced, everybody just kind of all collectively thought, so Lemon or Kennedy is going to win this, right? And I think Cheryl has been a really great dark horse of kind of showcasing talents, and this being a really great chance to like reinvigorate the audience to her, especially, and she's talking about this episode, which I think was kind of sad, where she was eliminated second on UK versus the World season 1, and there just was not a lot of fanfare about her. You know, a lot of people talked about feeling bad for Lemon or Pangina or Jimbo, but Cheryl kind of got like excused from that conversation, and it was really, I don't know, disheartening. Not that I think everybody deserves every amount of popularity, but I can't imagine being the one person skipped over. Somebody who maybe they did it and it just happened to not make the edit, but Kennedy's talked about before, at least definitely on All Stars 3, that like when there's meet and greet lines, like her lines are empty, people don't go to see her, which I cannot fathom. And then it's always like, oh, Kennedy, you're here. Yeah, why don't you get in the picture too? It's like, she's not the forethought. And that really sucks. And so I hope there was a little bit of commemoration on that between them, where they can kind of just, talk about their experiences with a similar idea of like being looked over. Long-winded way to say, I don't personally care about how these wins are being divided because in my brain, Lemon has been in the top every week. Kennedy's been killing it, and Cheryl's been killing it. Those are in my brain, like, okay, one of those three are gonna win.
Yeah, I will also say that this watching Cheryl in this Maxi challenge was very exciting for me. She was very grounded. She felt very like in control of things. She brings a very hyper energy to a lot of stuff that I do love. I think it comes off as a little bit pick me girl for a lot of people, but I enjoy the excitement. I enjoy the joy. But to see her just like basically like lower the register a little, like widen the stance a bit, and just like stand firm and deliver was so great.
I also love she kind of ate Brooke when she called her Lord Farquaad, which was the funniest thing.
You were watching it with me. I literally laughed so loud it caused feedback. I thought that was sick.
And for that, maybe Cheryl should have won for that line alone. Like,
well, I don't think
that was the moment. Or also, I was like, nobody claps at Rue like that. Like,
I was about to say, I don't think she can win because I don't think Brooke's ready for the thunk. You know what I mean?
Like the Twister thing is the line that you would give to Rue, but the Colin Lord Farquaad, that was choice.
Yeah.
I want to say that I had a bit of a problem with a move by Eureka that I thought was so icky, and I am so glad Eureka icked herself and picked on herself immediately. But that was the most painful thing I've seen happen to Eureka on stage, including the time she got DQ'd. So I really was embarrassed for her. And it raises a point that I think we don't talk about enough. But if you place finalist and then you place finalist, you can't come back. Roxxxy and Vanjie played a very tricky game this year, where they went into a game where there were so many expectations. I think there were a lot of expectations on Angeria as well, but I think people saw the celebrity names a little bit more. Eureka kind of got Eureka pangined herself. I don't even know. This was really painful because Eureka in this episode went truly all in on her truth. These are the pains of being sober. These are the pains of facing the trauma and the world that you've had to try and shut out for so many years. This is the pain of trying to do that all on a competitive stage while representing the entirety of a people who are so disrespected and treated so third class, like the trans community. She put her whole truth on the table here, and it came in an episode where she did something real icky. She made a joke she should not have made. And I don't even want to repeat the joke because we can't monetize the video. And it's literally. And so I wonder if, knowing that she would do the worst she's done since blowing out her knee, losing the Heisman style, if Eureka would have done this season.
I think part of the issue here even is something we said in our coverage of the premiere, and the tone that she set from the very beginning in that first backstage of, just don't put me in the bottom because I don't feel like lip syncing. I just don't want to do it, so don't put me there. That was an immediate weird energy to bring to this competition, and there's just been a lot of that throughout. And I think that was part of it. I also think her elimination part of it was just math. I was like, they're not going to send. They're going to send home an American this week. They're just going to.
They have to.
Unfortunately, yeah, no, it's just math. So that was also a part of where I was like, yeah, there's only so many weeks. There's only so many queens.
Yeah, and I also.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think we're about to say the same thing, which is that if they had given it to Lemon, she probably would have given the beaver to Fierce Delicious anyway, and it would have been very much a "we are sending 2 Americans home." It would have been a very different conversation.
I only wonder about that only because Fierce Delicious announced she did not want the beaver. I would have been so curious because I think you're right. Lemon's instinct would have been to give it to Fierce Delicious. So I would be very curious to know, had Lemon won, if that would have been how the whole thing went down. She would have been like, well, too bad, I'm giving it to you anyway. If Fierce Delicious maybe wouldn't have even said that because she knew Lemon would save her. Who knows? But what I was going to say is, like, once Kennedy won, it was immediately obvious she would give it to Alexis because they're sisters, they are peers. It makes total sense. And then, it's a little too early for there only to be one Canadian left in Canada versus the world. So, and also,
although certainly not historically. So,
well,
yeah, true.
It's not called Canadian versus the world.
Also, like, I do think you're right, Eureka. This is her third go round. Fourth? Yeah.
Technically fourth.
Technically fourth.
Oh yeah, 3.5.
And
only third time she can be in the finale, but yeah, fourth.
Yeah. And it's not like you've had your chance, you don't get it. It's more just like you have shown so much, you are a joy to watch. Go be out in the world. I don't necessarily think this is where you need to be making your mark. I love that you brought Roxxxy into it, not so much Vanjie, but Roxxxy really is kind of that. Reflecting on it, I felt Roxxxy was done a little bit dirty because Roxxxy is a pageant queen. Roxxxy has a vibe of a winner and has just found herself in some weird circumstances with Drag Race. But I think, they really set her up to win. And it felt like they kind of pulled the rug out. And I felt like she came to win. I felt like she really came to have the experience of being at the level of peers like Jinx and Alaska, who have won the show as well, as one of the classic girls who people think, like, that's an icon. I love Eureka. I think she's really great. I would love to see her live. She's a queen who I have not seen, on a Work the World or anything like that. But I think she would give a great show. I think she can be really funny. I think she has great chemistry with the girls. I don't necessarily see her as one of those, like a Roxxxy or an Alyssa, where I'm like, I want to see them get the crown because they're so iconic. It's particularly compelling to see them in the Hall of Fame or like as part of that Drag Race winner circle. Now that we're at the fourth time, I think there's kind of never been a more appropriate time for her to be out and go ply her trade in the world.
I'm actually a little bit, because I believe this is like, I think part of Eureka coming back for this was to showcase herself in her new self, her new body, her new way of kind of doing things. And I think this is one of those where we've seen it before, where people who are early in their transition or not fully stabilized inside of it yet become a little too volatile inside of the workroom, because it is a lot going on all at the same time. And so I think this is just one of those things where maybe if it had been 2 years later, she would have handled this a lot better. But that's also giving Eureka a lot of credit that I don't normally give her.
Yeah.
I do think that Eureka goes on that list of hard to engage with personality types for certain people. I do also have some Eureka is not my favorite from her seasons vibes. But I root for her. I root for her success. I believe in her. I think she's super awesome. Jonah, where do you fall on Eureka, Roxxxy, and the super legends stepping back into the arena when maybe it's just at the risk of losing their gloves?
Hold on, I have to do. Petulant. Sabotage.
Did not would open immediately on that screen.
I have, I think, some interesting feelings on it. I maybe am of the mindset I want people to, like, After your first season, I think everybody should be eligible for an All-Stars. And I think after that, if you made it to a finale of an All-Stars, I think you might be okay. I will say, I think maybe people like Kennedy and Eureka are maybe a little bit more special or different cases where maybe Kennedy doesn't feel the best about the entirety of the run of All-Stars 3, even though I think she did great for most of it. And I don't know if Eureka felt the best about the entirety of All-Star 6. So maybe bringing them back was a way to kind of just try one more time. But after a certain point, I want to see some fresh blood. I want to see some new faces. I want to see certain people get an opportunity for a second chance. Some people are on their third chance. Some people are on their fourth chance. And the only person who's eligible for every single season, every single time, no matter what, is Jujubee. Jujubee can come back for every single All-Stars versus the World, regular season. Just let her win. Can we have Jujubee win already? Please? I'm begging. But I think truly that at the end of the day, the show, I think with the All-Stars 9, I think we'll be able to entice people who've made it farther or people who want to have a second chance, where it doesn't feel like we can have a stacked cast. And I hope that doesn't come across as shady to someone who maybe went home like first or second. But I think we should have multiple formats for people who need a second shot versus an All-Stars. I think there's a difference of that. Like someone who maybe didn't have the best time on their season, feels like we didn't really get to see the best version of themselves, and then we get to see that glow up, I think is different versus an All-Stars who I think of, not to always, again, to compare this to Top Chef, but Top Chef All-Stars are like, most of those people were like fourth or fifth. There were not a lot of early outs on Top Chef coming back to compete as an All-Star. Sometimes they do bring a couple of people back, but then some people come back and get eliminated, like the exact same place again, and sometimes that's funny. But I think it's just a complex feeling, because I want everybody to feel like they have a shot. I don't ever want to like gatekeep, like you already had your chance. But sometimes it's, while I love seeing a familiar face, I want to see new faces as well. And I think maybe if they were able to strike a better balance, that might be better.
And I think part of the dynamic also comes down to the different judges, the different audiences. And in many ways, I wonder if this was Canada saying, well, no, we want our chance at some of the big names. Who can you get us out of the big names? And they're not going to be willing to use a season 15 girl. But something that I have seen here and there, and we do not talk about the potential casting. We're not doing it. But one of the big rumors is that both All-Stars 10 and Drag Race Season 17 will have the largest casts in at least some time. Now, in the case of All-Stars, that's a gift, because that means you can get a ton of girls that you haven't seen yet in there. You can even get some old-timers that have been long missing. But more than anything, I wonder how much that dilutes the opportunity. Like, something that made this season work for me right away was this was a tight number of girls. It was easy to have a feeling about everybody, come and go on them, whatever. But I do find the idea of trying to mess with like 18 girls at once. No, thank you. I don't want to have to keep track of 14 All-Stars. I can barely keep track of 7 days of the week.
Hey, trust me, I just watched UK season 2. There were 12 girls on there, and I still, like, about 3 episodes in, was like, there's too many of them. And They were sending girls home every time, sometimes before the lip sync was even over. So I'm so face blind, it's not even funny.
And that's part
of
where...
Well, they also have so many faces.
This is true. This is true. So many.
That's where this is professional sports for us. That's where this is literally teams and franchises and players, and there's different versions of it, and there's different entities. And, you know, with Michelle taking over Down Under, I think one of the things that we are continuing to move into is this further expanded identity of what the girls are and what the show is. I think the highlight of this episode, all said and done, was probably the way Fierce became an adult on stage for me. She last week was really so annoying I could barely deal with it. And when Tracy wasn't here this week, I wonder if she used a mental health day. And I thought that Fierce showing such true affection for Eureka. And when Eureka was eliminated, Fierce looked crushed at her own win. And that was powerful in saying, no, I want to dance tonight. It was because when Tainomi did it, and Tainomi was like, no, I'm going to work at my feelings. I want it to be like, girl, no, I want to like literally dance until I explode. That's not cute. But like, this was,
You're
no.
not Jennifer Beals.
I already was given the save. If I'm given the save again, I know that makes this game inequitable. No. And like the adulthood there and the way she played against Lemon, it really felt like a wonderful night for a person on their way. And I don't take back some of my criticisms of Miss Fiercelicious in the past, who has at the time, like I was in the past, a big baby. But, I can recognize growth. And I just think she really made a really good name for herself this episode by proving to me the adulthood is out there.
I mean, I think it's also really smart strategically because, like it or not, people did enjoy her being a horrible little goblin. It was funny. It was, yeah.
I'm people.
Yeah, I'm people too.
Put your hand down, Jonah.
I cracked up. I was defending it last week. It would have been a little boring otherwise. It also it's so funny. Like last week, everybody was fine roast battling. It was just Fierce being annoying and everybody having little quips, and it was hilarious, and everybody shined because of that moment where she was being annoying and everybody else got to be like, holy shit, you're annoying. And it was funny and it was great, but the danger with that is having a Roxxxy season 5 experience where you think you are, or, Alaska season 2 of All Stars, which is kind of where we start to see the turn. I think Roxxxy, coming from where she came from, thought she could be pretty horrible, and everybody would be like, drag queens can be so horrible sometimes. Read her back and be known as that girl who wanted it so much she was willing to be a cunt. And instead, she got a lot of fandom being like, you're a mean, bad person. And Alaska in season 2 of All Stars, people loved Alaska so much they twisted themselves into loving the meltdown, even though Drag Race fandom at the time was like, you don't get to be like that. And after that, I think we started to appreciate a lot more when girls would be horrible little goblins sometimes. But you do run the risk that people will just be like, you're a cunt. I don't want to go talk to you at the meet and greet. And to do what Fiercelicious did and just have a moment where you kind of acknowledge it, sort of not beat yourself up, but just point out that you can get a certain way when things go a certain way, is a brilliant have your cake and eat it too strategy. She will always go down as just being able to throw epic tantrums. But also we can always point to this moment and be like, she's a human being.
Yeah.
We love the self-producing storyline. That's called growth, mama.
Well, and this moment, this framing, this blocking, I loved this moment for them. It was just actual magic. There was a loveliness to their friendship, to the fact that they do seem to be two people who are both very difficult to get along with, that found a way to get along with one another. And I find that inspiring. I think bringing together two things I often had trouble with and making me love them is cool. But let me tell you, I am nervous as shit about next week's Snatch Game, the Rusical. I want to start with my nerves are in part because the Rusical for me is Rue. Rue is such a part of the Rusical. Her interpretation and the way she yells at it and laughs at it. So I am excited to see, but Brooks gauging a Rusical is very different for me than Ruse. And so it's not going to be the complete experience because the judges affect the outcome, affect the way we feel about the episode, affect the way we respond to it and come back to it, affect the way people react to it online. So I'll be interested to see how this change in judges dynamically affects the outcome of the episode's reception. But as we kind of close out this reading of this episode, I think that next week has a lot of things to explain because Snatch Game is an improv. Musicals really can't be improv without a lot of musical improv practice where you're working off the same book. You know what words to rhyme. You know the everything. You know the scansion. You know like what you should be doing. You know where the blocking goes. Groups that improv musicals practice their improv. These girls are not practice improvists.
There's
So
not time for that. Yes.
they might be experienced rapstresses, but they are not practice improvists. So I wonder how it's Snatch Game the Rusical, or if it's just a Rusical where there will be a brief Snatch Game element where each of them play their character. I
don't think it's even that. I think it is a Rusical about Snatch Game that is fully scripted. I think, yeah.
So
Because
you
you're
don't
right.
even
So
think there's any
Like
snatch
noise
to
is
it.
all. It's
I-
like noise is all.
Because it's
Where it's going to be like it's a backstage actor thing, but it's all scripted. Okay.
because you have to think about it. They submit their ideas of who they're playing for Snatch Game ahead of time. So then, but sometimes people change mid, and so they would have to have a verse for every single person's alternate as well as the main person they want to do.
And everybody who got cut, I mean, you might just be stuck with it. You might not have a verse for the alternate. You might just be
Yeah, well, I think they're not. You can organize it so there are no alternate. Everybody submits, they get approved. You know,
But then how many
there's
girls
no-
got cut?
There's no fake, like, yeah, I imagine some girls, it was like before the season started, producers had to be like, that girl wants to be, you know, Nicole Scherzinger, and that girl wants to be Nicole Scherzinger. They tell one of them no, and she picks and submits her alternate. And it's just the
Pierce,
first
you
person
can't be Nicole Scherzinger. It has to go to Eureka.
Yeah, exactly. The obvious choice.
Yeah.
The lookalike. Of course you're going to give it to Eureka.
With the blonde.
But yeah, I think there's so much logistics that go into it because just the title Snatch Game Rusical, what does that mean? I'm all down for, like they did in All Stars 9, combining the Girl Group Challenge with the Makeover Challenge. Combine Snatch Game and the Rusical, that's fine. But it is going to be interesting. Are they going to be playing their Snatch Game characters in a Rusical?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We can hypothesize as much as we want, but there's some interesting logistics that go into combining these two challenges that I wonder what's going to happen. But I am excited. Maybe a little fearful, but excited.
Yeah, and the only thing about it is I don't want to get too hyped without knowing what it's going to be, because it's so many things in media right now where you want us to get overhyped, but then I'm going to imagine something else, and then what you deliver might end up being, I don't know, short of my expectations. So I wish for that reason we had a little bit better of an idea, because if it is something kind of hokey, when we think it could be something great, that'll be rough. But like Nico said at the beginning of the show, a lot of these challenges are done in non-domestic drag races to sort of test pilot them and see the best way of doing them. So hopefully it goes well, and hopefully it means we can see even better versions of it in the future.
If it makes
I'm
you feel any
act-
better, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm actually thinking now that I'm listening to Kevo, is that this might be that we are going to get the girls redoing some Snatch Game classic amazingness that we have had before, and those are the characters they're offered, and they're allowed to pick amongst them. One of you gets Jinx's Judy Garland, one of you gets Vivian's Trump, one of you gets blah 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 one of you gets to be Trixie doing RuPaul. Like that's how you get around
I'll touch on that one.
things a little bit. That would be, to me, the smarter way of going about it. But who knows? Exactly. Who knows? What were you
That
going to
is the
say?
way to walk children in
TK?
nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to find out. This is gonna be a weird one. Who knows?
Whatever it is, maybe we will next week when we cover it, or whenever we're going to be able to cover it next week, come to you with our ideas of what we hoped and dreamed it had been. So-
how are we going to do next?
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
good
going to be
question.
fascinating. But that's because next week we're going to be at FlameCon, an amazing
What?
event out in New York City. You definitely want to be there. It's going to be amazing. You can meet all these people. And also, let's just say that for the moment, Tori is the lady screaming with the megaphone. But
I
you
love
can come
that.
check us out. We cannot wait to bring you guys this content. We're going to be talking all sorts of geeky gay stuff. We'll be in cute outfits. We'll be super sociable. And you can come buy some stuff we've made. We've got some super cool comic books. We've got some art prints, buttons, stickers, and more. So definitely come check those out. They will be there. We will be there, and we hope you will too. You'll be able to see some unbelievable queer creators. And if you're a fan of that thing, Drag Race, you might know Magami or somebody. She's gonna make you sweat. And she's going to be at the event. She's going to have panels. She's going to be at the after party. And I have had the luxury of working with some of the people that she started her career with, all of whom have said she really is that amazing in person. So protect queer art. Go see Megami. See us. FlameCon next weekend. But until then, Tori, where can everybody find you on the interwebs if they want to come hang out with you?
You can find me on the internet at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I. Jonah, where can folks find you?
You can find me places at Peak Jonah. That's Peak. Kevo, where can people find you?
You can find me noodling around here on our channel, X is for show. Make sure to check us out on all of your favorite socials, including Facebook, Twix, Twitch, Insta. And you can find me personally at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY. Teak, where can the folks who don't find you, sir?
Hiding in the forest.
Yes,
Nice.
good call.
But if you
That's
just
the way to be.
look for TK Elemental places, I might respond. I deleted Twitter off my phone and Instagram, so sometimes I pull out my
Whoa.
iPad and I talk to you there, but who knows? Nico, where can everybody find you?
Well, you guys can find me at our panel on Saturday and then our panel on Sunday, both of which were designed by the brilliant Kevo. We will be at these. Kevo, what are our panels Saturday and Sunday?
Our panels on Saturday and Sunday are first on Saturday. We have a panel called Not Like When We Were Kids, celebrating queer visibility and youth entertainment at 2:15 p.m. in Room B. We are going to have such amazing guests as creator Hamish Steele, one of our favorite drag queens of all time, Demanda Martini, the amazing cosplayer Jess Krause cosplays. And then on Sunday, we have Demanda joining us again for Diamonds Are Forever, 60 years of boundary-pushing science fiction with Doctor Who and Star Trek at 3:30 p.m. in, again, Room B. So we are Room B all weekend, so you'll know where to find us. If we're not at our table, we're probably in Room B. Everyone who is here is going to be at these panels. It's going to be awful crowded, but, I just want everyone to be able to play. Terrible. But, we are also probably going to cover what we did here at some point here on the channel. And I'll try and record it and put it up on the channel for everyone to see. So we'll see what we're able to do. If you're there, come check us out. And if you're not, check back here and we will report back on how all of it goes. And look for us on the show floor under this banner with all of these little dudes drawn by the amazing Tori Sheehan. We've got Green Lantern Nico. We've got X-Men Teak. We've got Rosalina. Is that her name? Jonah? Yes, Rosalina. And then you have me as classic Star Trek, engineer or whatever dude. I just talked a lot, and I don't talk this much.
I'm proud of you.
I think you did an amazing job. And if you want to check me out, you can check me out at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION. And my music at Nico Action Music. That's NICOACTIONMUSIC. And until next time, do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. But also remember to stay safe, be brave, and evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, we love them. Today, amazing. But tomorrow, that's the dream. And until then, stay tuned and we'll see you.
Bye.
I didn't get the signal, so you just got this.
Oh, I'm going to keep dancing then.